Let's look at some kinematic quantities and talk about pluses and minuses here. And so what we're studying, by the way, is called linear kinematics. And the quantities we need to be familiar with are displacement, which is a distance and a direction. And really what it means, what displacement is, a better way to say it, by the way, is the net change in position. Okay? Displacement is the net change in position. So let me give you an example of this. Let's imagine you're on the roof of a building, living dangerously. Don't do this, actually. You throw a ball up, the ball goes up, and maybe in 3 seconds it goes up to some height and goes down below your feet, and boom, there it is, right? 3 seconds later, it's here. Hasn't hit the ground yet. It's moving downward. What we would say, in this case, what the displacement is it's from here to here. The net change in position is some downward quantity from where we threw it from, okay? And you see this in football, right? The quarterback moves the ball backwards, and then hopefully the ball moves forward, right? So it's, in football, the yards gained or lost, that's really a displacement. It's a distance and a direction. Gained is in the direction they're going, and lost is not in the direction they're going, right? Okay, so that's the concept there. The next one is velocity, and you've seen this too, right? This is our rate change in displacement. So it's how many meters the displacement changes in 1 second. And then you haven't gotten to acceleration yet, but this is the same exact thing, right? Acceleration is to velocity as velocity is to displacement. So it's the rate change in velocity. It's how many meters per second the velocity changes every second. Now, these things have two different directions in linear kinematics. We've got a positive direction and a negative direction. So when you see displacements, let me just show you a displacement here. Let's imagine that we go from -3 to +2, right? Well, our displacement here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. S is +5 meters. Now the positive means it went to the right. That's our direction. Okay? The fact that it's positive means that it's to the right. It doesn't mean 5 meters in any direction. It means to the right. Now you don't have to put the positive because it's a number, right? But that's what we mean. That's what we mean. When I put the positive there, I sort of emphasize it that way, right? We could also have a displacement like this. We could start at 3, and we could displace ourselves to 0, right? So this displacement would be -3 meters. This is our direction. This means it went to the left. So the sign that you see on there, that is the direction when you see that, right? And this is important. This is very important because physics is the mathematics or the science of engineers, and engineers generally care whether the print cartridge head moves to the right 5 millimeters or to the left 3 millimeters. There's a big difference there, right? All right. Now, velocities are pretty straightforward too. Accelerations get a bit complicated. We'll talk about that when we get to accelerations. Velocities are easy too. Okay, if I displace myself, say, -3 meters in 1 second, then my velocity is -3 meters per second. And if you saw me, I'd be going to the left. Okay. So if it's negative, that negative is the direction. Doesn't mean I owe somebody 3 meters per second. It just means it's moving to the left at 3 meters per second, right? If I went +5 meters in 2 seconds, then my velocity would be 2.5 meters positive every second. That means I'm moving to the right. And it's easy. You can just look at something. If it's moving to the right, it's positive. To the left, it's negative. Or we could say maybe upward is positive and downward is negative. You have to decide. You have to decide what sign is what direction, and then just stick to that. That's what I'm saying here. So it's easy. Let's just make to the right positive and to the left negative. Let's make up positive, down negative. And then acceleration, it gets a bit complicated. Okay. With acceleration, let's start with a simple one, right? If I'm moving to the right and going faster and faster and gaining positive velocity, that would be a positive acceleration. If I'm moving to the left and going faster and faster, that would be a negative acceleration. But there's other cases, right? You could be slowing down or speeding up, and that gets complicated. So let's not worry about that. All right, at least do at least one of the examples, and you ought to be able to do the quiz.